Hello and welcome to Please Don't Send Me into Outer Space, the podcast intent on exploring all that science fiction and fantasy has to offer, one movie at a time, except for we're still in the middle of this summertime break. It's late August, we're still getting our jams out here, it's boiling hot outside, so come join us once more for the Summer of Love Beach Party podcast episodes. My name is Joel.
My name is Sarah.
My name is Spencer.
That's good. The movie this week, summertime classic, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. Directed by
It does take place in the summer.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
it's hot.
Movie.
Yeah, everybody's on vacation or whatever. Directed by Tobe Hooper, written by Kim Henkel and Tobe Hooper, starring Marilyn Burns, Paul A. Partain, Edwin Neal, Jim Sydow, and Gunnar Hansen as Leatherface.
You need to also bring up cinematographer Daniel Pearl, who's probably one of the huge reasons this movie is a success.
It feels like a lot of things were just the right recipe to make this movie way more successful than it had any right to be.
I think it was Albert Kane was talking about this movie. He said, pretty much the big key difference between this and later Hooper is the cinematography was just so much better because he kind of got lucky and got the Pearl to do it for him this time. I think this is the one time they worked together. They not very often.
Looks like he's done a lot of music videos recently, and before that, National Treasure.
Yeah,
he's got 220 credits on IMDb, so
yeah.
Hard to go through and figure out exactly what he had done with him.
But also the sound design, I should look up who did that, but that was easily the star of the show.
Yeah, it's pretty genius what they decided to put together for that. Let's see. For sound department, there's actually 9 different names. That covers all the microphone and everything else like that. Re-editing, re-recording, mixing. Composer is a man named Wayne Bell and Tobe Hooper himself. The movie doesn't use traditional music, though. According to the IMDb trivia, it's actually supposed to be sounds from a slaughterhouse. If that's what it is, it's very specific because they change tones and it comes off as sounding very musical and, just terrifying.
Yeah, it sounds all the sounds are very it's just machinery and motors and generators and cars. It's nothing pleasing to the ear. It's just this guttural, man-made, industrial sounds constantly.
Deep humming, chains rattling, stuff like that. So you picked this movie, man.
Yeah. This was a regular for me in high school. I bought the DVD. It's I'm trying to get the years right. Maybe the 35-year anniversary disc, which had I think 2 discs, and it came in a gold box, still box thing. And me and my friend watched it, and we both heard it was really good, and it lived up to its reputation, and I just kept watching it, and I eventually sold that because I got rid of a whole bunch of DVDs later in high school. So I didn't see this movie for probably about a decade or so. I just started to rewatch it on a whim earlier this year, and I was like, oh, this is one of my favorite movies. I just never realized it. Because I watched it probably at least 10 to 20 times in high school. This was on a rotation with original Halloween, Devil's Rejects, Eternal Sunshine, Clerks. It was a weird rotation of like regular stuff I'd make a point to watch over and over again. But
So you were one of those kids.
yes,
Okay.
define those kids.
Somebody who might be seen as a horror movie nut.
Yeah, a bit. But my high school,
It doesn't
everyone
sound like
loved.
you were like watching everything. It sounds like you were watching the cream of the crop stuff.
I watched everything. I just would rewatch the cream of the crop more.
I see. Well, that's good.
Yeah, I saw a lot of terrible horror movies at the time that I don't want to revisit. And so I probably should like the sequel to this, which when I was 17, I found to be incredibly irritating because this one is a very dark comedy in moments, but Tobe Hooper felt no one got that, so the sequel is very
comedy. Yeah.
Yeah, so much that at 17 I thought was just really, really grating, and I watched it once and I got rid of the DVD the next day because I just hated it so much.
I wouldn't say. I'm sorry, Mr. Hooper. Like, if you wanted your movie to be a comedy, you kind of missed the bar there.
I think it's funny. Like, there are a couple moments that I think are genuinely funny.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely bits like that. Sarah, when was the first time you saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
The first time I saw it was in high school too. I was like 17 and...
Yeah, you guys don't know this, but we had to go to a second high school 2. That's for grades 13 through 16.
As well. I mean...
No, I appreciate the courtesy laugh. Thank you.
It was basically peer pressure, because I hated horror movies. Like, at the time, I was very sensitive to gore and to, like... Yeah, when I saw things happening like that, it would, like... I'd get these... I already had this, like, disturbing imagery sometimes in my imagination. And, like, if I saw something like that, sometimes it would, like, creep into my nightmare ideas, and then I would just, like, not be able to sleep at all. But, not just that, but, like, I felt sympathy pains for stupid crap that happened in horror movies that, like, yeah. So anyway, I had a group of friends that I thought were really cool, and they all convinced me to watch this movie with them. And, I was horrified by it.
That's the appropriate response.
Yeah, I thought it was good, but it was definitely very scary and upsetting for me.
I'm trying to see when I first watched this because...
I found a discovery. The art director of this, Robert A. Burns, is the art director of another horror movie from around the same time that I also had on rotation. The original Hills Have Eyes from 1977, which explains probably why I love that movie as much. Yeah, I think it's Craven's best movie. I almost picked that for this, but Texas Chainsaw is shorter, which kind of is why I picked it.
We saw it on the big screen. We saw a double feature, this one and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, I'm trying to... That's the first time I ever saw this, so I'm trying to figure out when that was, a year or two ago?
And it was gorgeous. Like, I mean, there are still some visuals that are quite upsetting for me, but at the same time, like, visually, I have to say, it's really amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's on Letterboxd, my first review was this is a grindhouse movie that actually lives up to its title.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. Aptly named.
Yeah, like the poster is crazy. It's like, yeah, the movie totally justifies the awesome title and awesome poster. It's not like oh, I got duped into watching the terrible Al Adamson movie. Rest in peace. He made terrible movies, but he was also murdered in the 90s and it went unsolved. So I don't like him as an artist, but I feel sorry that I found his killer yet.
You don't like his art, but you respect the man.
Yes.
For living the dream of being murdered.
No.
I understand.
Yes.
What?
No.
some of the visuals in this, I remember when we saw it in the big screen, like, I felt like we were seeing some, like, really artistic choices, you know, like close-ups on people's faces in a way to frame it so that you're seeing, like, either their point of view or a close-up on them being horrified by something or something, you know, occurring to them. That whole sequence where, like, basically the last half an hour of the movie when Sally, is that Sally?
Yeah, Sally.
She's tied up in the chair, you know, and she just spends the whole time screaming. We're getting closer to her face. It's cutting in between the family doing crazy crap, and then just eventually where it's just the close up on the eye there,
and you see the veins in her eye.
Yeah, I feel very that felt very like Suspiria to me, like Argento-ish, and for me that's a huge compliment, but. I'm not saying this is as close to my heart as Suspiria, but I do think it's pretty plainly a horror masterpiece, if not just an indie film masterpiece.
I feel like the lighting is a huge deal, too. Like, there's that moment in the, like, field or whatever with the sun, like, coming through. I don't remember if that's, like, the beginning of the movie or when it happens. But there's, like, a moment where somebody's walking in, like, wheat or something, or through a field, and you see that, like, magical dust in sunlight that you can kind of see sometimes.
Yeah.
It's, like, captured by the lens. And there's also some really terrifying artificial light when it's nighttime, too. Like, they really don't shy away from showing you things in this movie. It's not that kind of movie, but everybody's probably seen it.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazingly effective, and there's no blood.
Well, let's talk about that.
Well, there's one moment that I noticed blood, but like the hook scene. What?
There's a lot of blood in this movie.
But it's not like he's hacking off limbs and like
no.
blood.
Here's the thing: the detail that they're talking about is you're not seeing like him. Yeah, you're not seeing him sever limbs. You never see a knife stab somebody. You know, there's parts where people like slide a blade, and there's the fake blood and stuff like that. But you're not seeing like literally anyone's head getting cut off. That scene where Leatherface has the girl on the hook and her boyfriend's already dead on the table and he starts up the chainsaw for the first time. He like is lowering it and you can't see where the boyfriend's head is. She's just reacting to it. So you get the idea that violence is happening. But there is a lot of shots after violence has happened where people are covered in blood or has been splashed off and stuff like that. So there is a lot of blood in the movie. There's just not a lot of like on-screen violence.
Yeah, like it's that, and also in the hook scene, like there's the illusion of blood where like she's getting hanged up, where you see blood splattered on a wall behind her, which gives you a subconscious cue of like, oh, this is a really horrible bloody scene. But it isn't. It doesn't have to be blood on the wall, so so like your mind will assume, like when you think back on it, oh, that was like like a Saw type kill or whatever.
How did they do that? The girl on the hook, he takes the saw over to her too, right? The chainsaw.
No, he doesn't do that. After basically, he cut when he's supposed to be motioning to cut her boyfriend up. She's just screaming while, reaching behind her, trying to do anything on the hook. And then we cut away from that scene. The next time we see that girl, she's in the freezer.
Right.
And Disco Stu walks in there.
But the way that her body is moving and the way that she's on the hook, like, I don't know what exactly it is that they did, but it is so cringe-worthy for me. It's like,
because I feel like you could imagine
image,
it.
That's the image that burned into my 17-year-old head. Yeah. Like, I saw that body moving and I was like, maybe it was like Maybe it was because I've been fishing and stuff with my dad for my whole life or whatever. Like, I know what it looks like when a fish is wriggling on a hook.
Yeah,
like,
she's suspended in some way where it looks like her center of gravity is exactly where the hook would be.
Yeah. That is really... I don't know how it was done exactly, but it is very effective, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my back hurts.
Yeah, it's... That played by Terry... I don't know what's her name. Terry McMinn, and
I just wrote down her character name, Pam.
Yeah, I remember on the bonus features on the DVD I had, she was ashamed of this movie for a while and tried to distance herself and didn't talk about it, but I think it was 2008, some horror con, she showed up and talked to the fans, so she's gotten over it. Like, she realizes like she was in actually a good movie, but
well, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens to a lot of different people that do horror projects. That's according to IMDb, she did not do another credited project until 2009. So it's almost like she wanted to slip into obscurity. Maybe after she did the movie, she like had regretted doing it. Like was like, I guess I don't want to be a film star or something like that. So she was like, oh yeah, I don't want to even talk about that movie. But it's like I think about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even to this day, Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger like don't even want their like pictures associated with the movie. It's like that's from what I hear, it's a terrible movie. But you know what? It's got fans all over the place who love it because of how bad it is, or they just enjoy it in a general sense. And it's like,
I saw it in the theater, I think.
You saw The Next Generation in the theater?
I think so.
This is news. This is breaking news, people. So what do you think about that robotic leg?
It's been a while. I don't know if I've ever seen it again since, but
why would you?
When did it come out? Late 90s?
94, I think.
Yeah.
Year of Pulp Fiction.
So 93?
94.
Wait.
I thought Pulp Fiction's 93.
Was there a remake of it later?
There's a whole new separate series of remakes of Texas Chainsaw.
So Texas Chainsaw, yeah.
I think there are 5 in a new series, 5 or 6.
I have no idea how the series falls through because so the first one there's Texas Chainsaw 2, there's Leatherface: Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Then there's technically part 4, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation.
Yeah, that's the original series.
And then there's nothing for a while. And then I think that's when we get into Platinum Dooms with the remake by the Michael Bay Company.
Yeah.
That was in the 2000s.
Yeah, I was in
99?
5th grade, I think, when that came out. So it was 2002.
Oh, see? 2002.
And then that had a sequel. And then there was
Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Yeah, 3D.
The Beginning.
And there was one that came out, I think, last year. That was like the origin story of Leatherface.
Yeah, that nobody seems to have liked that one. It's got Lily Taylor in it.
I think it's 4 or 5. I think there might be one we're missing.
I saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay, so the 2000
in the theater
3 version.
The other one I saw on video, I think.
So that was a direct remake.
Yeah.
2003.
Yeah, the remake I saw once in high school, but I don't really remember much of it, besides kind of being bored.
Yeah, it doesn't have the cool things that that this one has in it. It doesn't. They just put some, young girls in it that they thought people would find attractive.
And Jessica Biel is in it.
Yes. I think
she
that
said young
she's
girls
one
that
of
people
those.
find attractive.
Yeah.
Okay. And all I remember is the girl hides a gun in her vagina and then kills herself. And that's
that's all everybody remembers.
Yeah.
I forgot about that, actually.
Oh, okay.
And that happens, and then the rest of the movie is like, sure, I guess.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, let me get the official count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's got to be more than that. This doesn't have all the Texas movies listed. The most recent origin story one was called Leatherface.
Okay.
Again. With Steven Dorff. I thought he was dead. I didn't really think he was dead.
I feel like this is like the urban legend that you always are afraid of. I hear people talking about they saw The Exorcist or something and they couldn't sleep afterwards or whatever. And I feel like this is that one for me because it's like once you've seen this movie, you can't unsee it. And it's like a little part of all the ghost stories or urban legends that you've heard about being out in the middle of nowhere where you don't know what all of your surroundings are. It's like this is that nightmare fuel type situation. And like I feel like it's kind of a cautionary tale too in a way, but I don't know.
Yeah, and it manages to be this incredibly simple movie, but it looks like it's kind of like we talked about Ozu before recording, but like with Ozu movies, you watch it and it's like, oh, I could make this. This looks real easy. But then you like learn more about the process of like how Ozu did. It's like, oh no, that he went to every single little aspect to get it right. And like this feels like Tobe Hooper was literally a part of like every aspect of trying to get every little detail right. And it's full of these small details where if you're not really paying attention, it won't really fully connect like that. This is a masterpiece of this like indie filmmaking. Of this like where like lightning happened to strike, and it feels like, well, I know for a fact like the actors talked about like the dinner scene at the end smelled terrible, and like so much of the set just like it's this rough, hot Texas summer, and it's like everyone was not enjoying this. They are in it, and like, no, we're gonna give 100% and not fuck it up, and try to make the best of the situation.
Right.
And they really succeeded.
Totally. It's deceptively like it seems. You're totally right. It seems simple, but then the more you look at it, the more you're like, no, they had to do all of this just right in order for it to all work the way that it does. Because it's kind of deceptive.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking about it like in a context as a filmmaker, cinematographer, or whatever. The scene where the dude...
Well, all the van scenes weren't hot, and the AC probably wasn't that great, and the cameraman were in the car.
It was in the 70s.
Yeah, and like all the dudes, like their shirts are like basically unbuttoned the whole time because it's 100 degrees basically.
Also, it's the 70s.
Yeah, or at least 100 degrees, probably over 100 degrees is Texas, and well, I'm not sure.
Everybody's covered in sweat, and it's like you can tell it was an uncomfortable situation. Like aside from like imagining you're in this horrifying like you're stuck out in the middle of a death trap.
Mm-hmm. So I was talking about the shot. Okay, so Kirk is the other guy. Kirk and Pam are basically the pair. Yeah. And if you're saying if this is a cautionary tale, this is a cautionary tale of A, if somebody tells you at the gas station tells you don't want to go to a place, you probably shouldn't go to a place.
Yeah.
B, don't just go exploring other people's yards. You don't know when there might be a man wielding a chainsaw and a hammer. But anyways, Kirk goes into the house because the door opens, and the shot is done from this hallway. To the left there's an open area like a living room.
To the left.
You don't
everything I own in a box to the left.
In the very back, on the right there's the staircase that goes up to the
Joel, acknowledge my Beyonce reference.
I'm not going to acknowledge that.
Okay.
She's not the first person to say, to the left, to the left.
Everything I own in a box to the left, in my closet. That's my stuff. You don't remember? Okay, you don't remember.
Don't you ever, for a second,
I don't listen to music.
Thinks that you're irreplaceable.
What are you guys talking about? Can I finish that?
Okay,
it's her big hit from when I was 15. I was in high school. Or it was early high school when the song came out.
They're still playing that song.
Yeah, probably.
I hear it in T-Mobiles when I'm working.
Yeah.
So, yes, if you look straight to the back, though, there's all this taxidermied, like, severed animal heads on the walls, and it's a bright red room, you know. It's a fresh-looking room. It looks like almost like you could go into it and there'd be a whole, like, parlor. So he walks in, and the camera angle is not watching him do anything else except for walk into this house because, you know, they're looking for somebody for absolutely no reason. And when he gets back there, you know, he's hearing that pig sound that Leatherface makes, although you don't know it's Leatherface. And as he walks through the door, then the camera finally changes to an angle where you see Leatherface a little bit close up. And I love Leatherface in this movie because he's like a scared child. Like, I know he's the giant guy with the chainsaw, but every time he sees somebody, he is so surprised. He's like, oh, I'm gonna hit this guy with a hammer. Like, what? And like after he takes care,
the drop on me.
After he takes care of Disco Stu, the third guy, he actually has to go sit by the window, being like, "Oh my god, all these people keep coming into my house. This sucks."
Oh yeah, I was hoping you'd bring that moment up too. Like it's like I always forget the moment of contemplation. I'm like, man, what's going on today?
Like. And I think it has to do with him, like, knowing his brother's going to be home, and he's quick to anger. So, or I don't know if it's his brother or his father. But,
his dad.
Yeah.
It's the dad, two sons, and grandpa.
God, I'm going to explain these three people. I got him, but oh my God.
Yeah, like, he's a child. Like, Gunnar Hansen went to a sanitarium to observe people with mental disabilities. To like know how they behave, to play Leatherface.
Yeah,
and like it's pretty clear Leatherface has some mental deficiencies, and his brother, the hitchhiker, also has some real deficiencies. Like his brother is like does not understand social cues at all.
Yeah, that's another thing. He seems like disappointed when he realizes he's crossed a line, you know, in the back of the van. He's like, "Oh, a knife, huh? What if I cut myself? This is pretty cool, guys, you're not with me anymore? Oh man, now I have to do something really crazy."
Yeah.
Yeah, that from the perspective of Leatherface, it's like, oh my god, all these people are coming into my house to kill me.
I didn't order this. Bam.
Self-defense.
Oh yeah, stand your ground.
It's Texas after all.
Yeah, it is Texas.
Mm-hmm. Nothing illegal
Don't just go up to people's houses. They'll shoot you or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Well, there are no guns in this, weirdly enough, which I never really realized.
Yeah. It kind of makes a fact of like talking about how they don't like that way, you know, when they pass by the slaughterhouse, and it's like, you know, I know they use that bolt gun now to speed up the thing, and Hitchhiker's like, oh, that's not the good way to do it, you know, everything's hammer. So, but I mean, he has no problem using a chainsaw. I guess that's just more convenient than hacking away.
I feel like it's kind of a cautionary tale in the way that, like, these hippie kids that are, like, out just kind of exploring and, you know, the free love vibe of the 70s and stuff. And I feel like it's like, no, like, you can't just walk around doing whatever you want to because there are insane people that will kill you. Like, I feel like it's kind of a cautionary tale of just feeling free or whatever to just explore wherever you want and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Without fear.
And there's always that, like, the boogeyman of, like, well, don't go too far and don't, like, I don't know, like understand where you are and be respectful.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, like,
mhm.
it's kind of, I don't know, like, it's so simple that you can apply a lot of, like, different, like, themes over it. Like, there's the whole thing of, like, I see it as, like, it's about a family that's impoverished because a slaughterhouse closed down and they simply need to survive. And they survive by selling human meat. Like, that's at least, that's because, like, there's mention of the dad. Like, he comes home, after Sally runs to the gas station. Before he leaves, he turns off the light and says, "Oh, the bill might be a little too high." And just this whole thing of, like, the gas is a little late and he's out of gas. And, like, you see just how run down his store is and his home is. So it's the whole thing of almost commenting on, like, on poverty of, like, the lower class a little bit too.
No, they're just crazy.
Joel.
No, I'm just kidding.
And I also heard, like, some people see it as, like, a dark version of, like, the nuclear family of, like, the 60s.
Yeah, I guess the family is so up. And it's like, you don't know who started it, if it was back in the grandpa generation or what, but, like,
Probably.
In order for them to all effectively coexist in this family in this way, there's some messed up stuff that happened, and we don't know exactly.
And there are no women.
How did they get here? Yeah. Who birthed them?
That's not true. There's one woman. She's upstairs with Grandpa.
Well, she's been dead for a while.
Well, you know, psycho. They make it work.
Maybe they killed the ladies for meat. Or skin. Or
they found somebody new and they moved on. You know, it happens sometimes. Maybe she moved in with a neighbor, since this is where their grandpa's, place was before.
This gives me an incestual vibe, too. For no particular outright reason, it just kind of does give me that, like, backwoods, like, creepy, like... And the fact that they're still in this house together, all of them, doing this crazy stuff.
Well, they have to make money, so, sell human meat.
It's family, okay? Family.
Okay, it's about the small business owner.
Yes.
I don't know, I could be full of... I don't know.
No.
Some people say it's about vegetarianism. Like, I don't know, it's a simple, flexible premise that could apply to, a whole bunch of things if you really think about it.
It sounds like someone needs to make a Room 247 version of this movie, where it's like, as you can see, the Minotaur is eating a baby in the background. If you dream sequences.
They're missing a baby in this movie. They could have had an evil baby, too.
They have an evil baby. It's Grandpa.
Yeah, I know.
Cut that finger, suckle on it.
Yeah, I love Grandpa's little dance, which I never noticed until this viewing.
He's excited.
Yeah, where he's just like, he's trying to dance in his wheelchair. He's living life. He's alive.
Yeah.
And I love that that's when you realize, oh, he's alive, which kind of throws us into like fantasy territory almost, where it's like, how is that creature alive exactly? Because he's so withered and but he's dressed like a 1920s gangster almost. With because you see a shot of his shoes at one point, and his shoes are like these pristine 1920s gangster gangster shoes. If you remember that part.
Does he have spats on them?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think of. It's like these, it's compared to what everyone else sees is just so much fancier, and it's like, oh, they clearly, take care of him and shine his shoes and clean his suit and stuff.
That just makes me think vampire, because they give him the blood,
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that he's just in stasis, in this old outfit for so long, you think he's a statue.
You know what it made me think of? Nothing But Trouble.
That's not good.
The whole dinner scene, you got some mutant twins out in their big junkyard. I mean, I know nothing but trouble is supposed to make you think of Texas Chainsaw because it's once again they're driving in the boondocks of New Jersey.
Yeah,
I don't know, someplace not, and then they end up in the gross house or whatever.
I mean, there's tons of other things that reference this. There's like a Tom Petty music video where like Alice in Wonderland is being like cut up as a cake and everybody's eating her. Like, I feel like it's totally a callback to this.
No, it's just because Tom Petty liked to eat girls.
Yeah, he was opposite of DJ Khaled.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was going to say, another, like, this movie's kind of like a response to the end of the 60s and 70s, which means it's a little bit out of time because, like, the whole hitchhiking, free love kind of thing ended pretty quickly during, like, the whole Zodiac, like, killer thing. And his whole thing was at the end of the 60s, a little bit into the 70s. And, like, that's when people were like, you can't just, like, drive around. You can't trust a stranger or anything like that. Like, terrible things can happen to you. And so they work that in.
Yeah. Oh, going back to the vampire thing, Franklin, the one in a wheelchair, he does
my least favorite character, Franklin?
Yeah, I love that they make the handicapped character the most unlikable asshole, which like most filmmakers would not do. But
I had more sympathy for Franklin this time because, like, seriously, they do just kind of like forget about him. And like that, his opening scene is incredibly embarrassing. Like, are you supposed to be the comedy relief, buddy? Because you were pissing into a coffee can, and then a truck drove by, and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa!
Yeah, but he keeps talking about Dracula's, so like that ties into the whole blood sucking thing where Grandpa's dancing.
Yes, I hadn't realized that, but yes. And I mean, it's kind of based on something, isn't it?
Ed Gein. Just like Psycho. Although this is like Psycho's trashy cousin, basically.
So what was the actual real story?
Ed Gein was just a man. I don't know if he lived in Texas, but...
Wisconsin.
There you go.
He killed and ate people, I believe.
He definitely ate some people. He made furniture out of their out of their skin and bones and stuff like that. And it's like people didn't know about his crime for a long time until somebody, I think that was not from the town, went missing or something like that. And then they finally caught him, and he had like a gruesome house full of just like, lampshades and a bunch of body parts in his
and he was just,
box.
He was like the local guy. Hey, it's Mr. Ed, not the horse. He's just, people had, like most serial killers, he was, charming and nobody had any clue.
Nope. Yep. It was just nice. Just like, Ed. There's Ed.
Like Gacy, he's a clown. He likes, young Filipino men. Nothing wrong with that.
What, am I a clown now? I amuse you?
Was Gacy the one who liked Filipino dudes?
No, I thought that was Jeremy Renner.
Okay, I know one of them was in liked young Asian men and killed them.
What was the murderer Jeremy Renner played?
I think No, I forgot. One of them.
So the real life person inspired this and like Hannibal Lecter.
Oh yeah,
and Psycho and Ed Gein kind of helped birth American horror, basically.
Dahmer. Is that the one I'm thinking
terrible.
of?
Yeah, Dahmer.
Yeah, I'm not sure who was the person who liked Filipino boys. I think this movie starts out scary, so if he was trying to be funny, he already failed off of that point, because just this sound, like the black screen...
Yeah.
After John Larroquette, serenades us into our feeling of safety.
And he is paid in bags of weed, apparently.
Yeah, I just don't know who to believe on that. Like, it says that he said that, but then I heard that he didn't say that, and that's just like a rumor, so I'm not sure.
Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but, it starts off in the dark, and you're, like, hearing somebody, like, digging and, like, shaking things, and then it's got the bulb sound. You see the horrifying images of like I remember it being a lot grosser. I think it wasn't as gross this time because we've been watching Bones on Amazon Prime. So I'm like, yeah, it's just a regular old dead body. But like, I guess the hitchhiker guy digs up bodies and makes art out of it.
Human remains.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, just like to make sculptures out of dead bodies.
Yeah.
And like their whole radio broadcast talking about horrible, bizarre crimes. And they say the humidity is like 98%. So I guess it is East Texas, like Dallas. It has to be a Dallas area. I mentioned Fort Worth, and the Dallas side apparently is super humid, where like San Antonio side is not.
It's so hot. It would be so hot. I don't know when they shot this, but it was hot for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could feel the heat off the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've seen this dozens of times, and I still, like, get sweaty watching it, because the heat is captured so well. And, like, not many movies can capture heat, like, where it's palpable. Like, Do the Right Thing, like that captures heat very well, and a Japanese
Stray Dog
captures heat really well, and Onibaba, this great Japanese horror movie from the 60s, captures heat really well. But
Bad
like
Draft. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but like this, like I don't want to go to Texas in the summer because of this movie. It just looks so awful to be there.
Yeah, I've only been to Texas a couple times, but it is really hot, like, even when it's not right in summer.
Well, I don't want to go to Texas because I assume they're all Chainsaw Massacre people, or they're all Waco people. And I'm not talking about the fixer-upper people.
Oh, you mean the Woody Harrelson's dad?
Yeah, Woody Harrelson's dad. What?
Woody Harrelson's dad was a Waco area hitman who I think killed 3 people and got.
I'm talking about Koresh or whatever his name is.
No, look up Woody Harrelson's dad. I think his dad got the death penalty.
Well, it's about time.
Yeah, look at it's really crazy, like what his dad was up to.
I like Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like the intro where there's a whole like Star Wars crawl thing, and like first time I saw this, I remember thinking like, if this is lame, they're telling you this is a crazy movie, but like I said earlier, it actually delivers. Like the crawl in the beginning is a good indicator of you're gonna get something a little kooky, and I love that Ghost does the camera flash with like it must isolate that sound and like amplify it, because it just sounds so unnatural and like almost like cosmic. Like it makes me think of space.
It sounds like something is in pain very suddenly, like boom.
Yeah, and then you get the sun flare footage, which just adds to like what is happening.
Yeah.
And they're talking about heat, so like that just is adding to like the subliminal effect of like they're talking about heat, and you see like the sun flares that's bouncing off the sun, and like it's just so brilliant, that beginning.
It's kind of what they choose to give you and what they choose to not give you. Like they give you you're like in this. You're being funneled into, like, this experience.
Like a cow in a slaughterhouse.
Totally! Oh my gosh! Totally.
I mean, okay, so let's talk about this plot here, things that bother me. So, when they pull up to the gas station, that's post, hitchhiker situation, obviously, they didn't turn around. I don't know if I would have done that. I probably would have turned around. But that guy, he's credited as old man, is telling them like, oh, you don't want to go there because you don't want to take those young ladies there. Like that's I feel like he was trying to get them not to go to the house, and I don't think it was because he was trying to cover up a crime or anything like that. I feel like he was almost trying to protect them at that point. But later, he's off his rocker just as much as the other ones, although he says he doesn't like to kill.
Yeah, I think this is all part of the trap of him being like, oh, you don't want to go there, trying to entice people to go, and go encounter his two weird sons, or his one weird son in this case.
Well, he was expecting it to be too weird. He didn't know that the hitchhiker was out. That's why he was so mad at him. He's like, look at what he did. He broke the door.
That's a part of the comedy, like this him being a kind of a dad.
Yeah.
It feels like sitcom-y almost, like the interactions of him being a father, where he's like, oh, what do you kids do when I was at work?
I find that so eerie and upsetting. It's like they are trapped in this no way out situation. They're all gonna die. They're like, I'm gonna die. There's nothing I can do. And they're sitting around bantering like it's like a normal day of the week. Like, regular conversation for them, and I think that would push me over the edge. If I were in that situation, I think that the fact that they were living their daily life as if like this was normal would be the thing that would make me the most terrified, because it's so not normal,
Yeah.
I think it adds insult to injury.
I think you're being classist here. We don't know what's normal for people in such a lower... Ouch.
Do you like when they go to the house and you see like that crazy shot of a cluster of spiders in the corner?
I'm afraid of spiders, but I think it's a good shot.
I do too, but that shot always freaks me out, and I hate it every time I see it. And I always forget when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I like that they have at the house, the Texas Chainsaw house, that they have a chicken in a cage that I think is just their pet.
They give it respect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's
tons of animal bones around, so who knows? But
yeah, that's another funny moment I like, where like she's freaking out and screaming, and there's just a slow zoom in on a chicken in a cage, just being a chicken.
That's you. You're a chicken in a cage now,
chicken
baby.
POV.
Hey, what's that chicken up to?
I like that's one of the funny moments too. Of like this, it's an insane situation, and then there's a chicken in a cage, and like that's like a point of it's shot like a point of terror, but it's so stupid and random.
Yeah, wait a minute. There's a chicken over here that's experiencing this. Mm-hmm. How does he feel?
Hey, I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Like the chicken gets his own little moment of like the zoom in of like, well, yeah, it's an important part of the movie apparently, but it comes to nothing, which I think is another joke of like, why is there a chicken here that thought they eat people?
Well, if you could hear that chicken's internal monologue, it was like, oh no, not again. Because they got all those cars, so it's like, obviously, a whole bunch of people have stopped over here. This chicken's seen some...
Yeah. Do you think those are cars of past victims, or like cars?
I mean, they don't spell it out, but I think that's what we're supposed to, supposed to get from it.
I've always thought that, but I wasn't sure if like there's kind of white trash and have a shit ton of cars.
Little column A, little column B.
When are the American Pickers going to show up and go for their stuff? That's what I want to know.
Well, unfortunately, the house burned down, I think, over 10 years ago.
Get to go up.
Wow, you've got an original 1970s Beetle. How much are you looking to get for this?
Can we talk to you about some stuff we're trying to buy?
I got this flyer here.
What about the live chicken? How much would that cost?
No. If you watch that show, Frank has already eaten that chicken. That chicken's gone.
Chicken's not for sale, guys.
No price for that. Pricelesschicken.com.
Maybe that's another argument for the vegetarian thing, like the chicken is alive in the cage and all these people are getting killed. Like, meat is murder.
I mean, that's what they're saying. Vegetarianism, right? That's what Spencer was saying earlier.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like this is a flawless movie, in your opinion?
No, there's some, like, little things here and there that I don't think... well...
Some nitpicks?
Yeah, like, more just nitpicky stuff.
I have to say, after this watching, I felt like the last 30 minutes, like I said, where Sally is just tied up and they're just being goofy goobers, like, we're gonna feed you. Oh no, but get ready, Grandpa's gonna do a thing. It felt overly long to me. Like, at a point, it was no longer like I'm feeling the terror, I'm feeling scared. You get used to it because it's like, well, they're not gonna do anything bad. And then I think it does ramp up again when they are doing the hammer scene, which I'm sure somebody thinks is funny, but like that is horrifying to me. The idea that like she knows that this is going to happen and it keeps going near her head over and over again until it actually strikes her. And it's like, yeah, I don't like that part.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, I think he's trying to have it both ways in that scene of it's like, it's a joke because it's going on for so long, like with it, yeah. Yet at the same time, it's like, but it's also torture. Like, and it's actually like compared like the Saw franchise, like the torture in that little moment works so much better than all the Saw movies.
Well, I think that's an unfair comparison.
Okay,
I don't know.
Like during the night chase sequence, that has another moment that always gets me. That I know it's coming, but I always forget when exactly it's going to happen. It's when Franklin gets killed, and when
I'd say that's the only jump scare in the movie.
And every time that gets me, and like. It doesn't matter if I look at my phone for a second, like, I will jump every single time. And I always misremember it where, like, blood splatters on, either on the camera or on
Sally.
Or on, like, the flashlight.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I got that from, but for some reason I always think that happens.
I feel like that, I've seen that image happen on something else where blood, like, gets on the flashlight, but that's not, That's a good example of a scene where you fill in the blank there because, he appears before Franklin in his wheelchair and, you see him bring down the chainsaw, but you're not seeing contact, you're not seeing blood flying or anything like that. Eventually we just switch to Sally running for her life and Leatherface running after her through the trees.
Yeah, and like during that whole sequence before he jumps out, you hear the chainsaw, but you aren't sure where it's coming from. You just know it's nearby.
Part. Yeah. I hate that part. Hearing the chainsaw, and then you're just like, holy shit, somebody is gonna come kill you right now. Like, they aren't slowing down. Like, there's just, that part where you hear the chainsaw coming, you're like, what is that sound at first? And then you're like, it's a chainsaw. And then you're like, this person isn't stopping. They're just gonna keep going.
Yeah.
And they're like the part where they find a generator earlier on. This is all over. If you're listening to this is kind of all over the place, but you've probably seen the movie, and there's not much actual plot to like break down. It's like, regardless, but like, do you see a generator part earlier on where they hear it, and that's a good precursor of like, what's that like weird mechanical sound? Like, oh, it's just a generator, and that like kind of prepares you for like the chainsaw. For when you hear it in the background, you're like, oh, it's probably just a generator. Yeah. And then,
Well, I think that's like leading into Kirk being stupid here because it's like, hey, what's that sound? Like, first of all, who cares? But he goes over and he finds out it's a generator, and he also sees all those abandoned cars in the same area. It's like, okay, but there's no reason to go to that other house and start knocking on the door, man.
Yeah.
Like,
If I saw all those cars, I would turn around and be gone. Like, if I saw those cars, I would just be like, this isn't where I want to be.
unless I saw like a neighbor, and then I'd be like, hey, man, there's a cool car collection or something like that. And he was like, ah! No, I mean, he was like, yeah, you know, that's a different thing. But Kirk can't stop himself.
I'm totally into urban exploration too, and I took photography in college. That was like my focus, and we used to get extra credit for trespassing for one of my classes. Like,
your teacher wanted you to do illegal things.
We were just being told to kind of think outside of the boundaries or whatever. And so I've kind of wandered a lot in areas that were maybe not really supposed to be wandered in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really fun and it's really interesting. But, like, you start to learn, like, things from, like, just kind of shady situations. And, like, in this movie, it would just be, the terrain is a nightmare that you're trying to run away from someone in. But, like, if I saw all those abandoned cars and no other houses around, I would just be like, I don't like this. And I would leave. Even if I wanted to take pictures of the cars.
Yeah. Well, you know, they were just young people on an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So like during the night chase after the jump scare, and like she runs to, you like see, where is it? So you see the house in the background at a certain point, and it's surrounded by darkness, and like the light of the house is only light, and it kind of adds to like the beginning thing where it doesn't feel like it's human, like what's happening in the movie, where like there's all the light and like the whole light surrounded by complete darkness just feels weird, almost like surreal, where it's like, where are we where it's completely dark?
Yeah.
And like,
yeah, surreal. Yeah, it's totally surreal to just see it like in the middle of nowhere with just this one light. And I kind of feel like that visual is something that people use as like a way to feel safe. Like, oh, it's an
island in the middle
of
it's a lighthouse. Yeah,
exactly.
I found something, but it's like the worst possible thing you could ever find.
Yeah, like the only refuge that Sally has is the place where she will probably get slaughtered like cattle. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I never thought of that symbolism there. But like using darkness reminded me of certain scenes in The Idiot, the Kurosawa movie that me and Joel talked about on our podcast, where like there are a couple scenes in the later half where like it's just completely dark and you see people just walk into the darkness, and it's like they walk into like like an endless void, and like they literally disappear into the darkness.
That's creepy.
The darkness of Russia in Japan.
Well, listen to the episode on The Idiot. I
don't recall doing this.
Okay. Maybe talk to Alistair about it. I don't remember.
Yeah, that guy.
But like the camera angles of this remind me, like the way it's shot, remind me of like an old school Resident Evil game, where it's these very predatory angles, where it's like
you can't see what's around the corner. Like,
it's like
forced perspective. Yeah, that's what makes that whole that entryway one I was talking about so good. You know, when you don't know Leatherface is just right there around the corner because you're only seeing straight forward. And then he's so surprised.
It's funny, we just watched I Know What You Did Last Summer because Joel had never seen it before.
Oh, I feel sorry for you.
And I was thinking that it's totally a callback to this house with Leatherface when they go to Anne Heche, her house.
Yeah, she's the Maine country bumpkin. They're like in Maine, aren't they, or something? I
don't know.
It doesn't make much sense. She's like wearing a potato sack.
Yeah, that movie is when I watched once when I was 16, and I vowed to never watch it again because I found it so boring.
You should watch it again. It's pretty... No, it sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, it has Delaware's Ryan Phillippe, but who cares?
Oh, God. I thought you only want good things from Delaware.
We have Aubrey Plaza now, so that's an improvement.
Whoa.
And John Gallagher Jr., who she dated briefly.
I don't know who that is.
He's the guy in the Cloverfield movie with John Goodman.
Oh, he's the hobo?
Yeah, he's the other guy there.
The scrappy-looking guy with a broken arm?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's a rule.
Yeah, they apparently dated when she was in college, I think. But he's also grew up in Delaware, too.
You don't have any local murderers out there?
If they are, they're getting away with it.
Oh, okay, well, the normal kind of murderer.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the... You were saying you've seen the remake.
Yeah.
But have you seen any of the other stuff, too?
No, the real sequel kind of turned me off from wanting to watch other ones at the time. But I want to see... The third one has Ken Foree, who was in George Romero stuff. And he's the dad from Kenan and Kel. And he's in Rob Zombie stuff, so I like Ken Foree. He's a black man, if you couldn't pick up on the references there. But I like Ken Foree a lot, so he's in the third one, and that's still Tobe Hooper. And the other sequels to the reboot, I have not bothered with.
You said you saw the 2003...
Yes.
I saw the 94 one, or whatever it was, and I saw the 2003 one in the theater. I think the reason I thought I saw the 2003 one earlier than that was because I think I may have seen it in Fillmore or someplace.
You might have seen it with my friends, because my friends were always talking about it.
Really?
Like at the opening scene with the girl
probably did.
Shooting herself in the head and stuff like that. It's like, back then I didn't watch horror movies, so I wouldn't have seen it with them. But
yeah.
they were talking about that like it was a crazy thing. But I did not. I've only seen this one.
Yeah, it's kind of like with Halloween, where I like the Rob Zombie remakes, because I like Rob Zombie movies in general, because he's kind of like a modern-day grindhouse director. But he movies are a little too long. That's my issue with him. But besides that, like, I watched his Halloween movies, and the original Halloween, I kind of never bothered with the other ones, except the weird third one.
I like 2. I know that's not a very popular opinion among horror nerds, but I think 1 and 2 work just fine. Like,
yeah, because John Carper, isn't he still involved with the second one? And then he kind of was like,
yeah, he wasn't
this.
the director. He was, I think he at least had some writing done in it.
Then it gets all mystical and Paul Rudd shows up and it's like, why is this happening? Who cares?
No, Paul Rudd is fine. What are you talking about?
Okay, well, it's like his first movie.
Yes, he did that and Clueless the same year.
Yeah.
And one of them he was credited as Paul Rudd, and the other one it's like Paul A. Rudd or something like that. So that's how you knew he was going to be a star.
Yeah.
Are you feeling like you want to touch on some... Do you have any questions or anything?
No, I was getting ready to wrap it up.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that I feel like this, because it's a horror movie, that people who are horror nerds have seen it and they know that it's a good movie. And I feel like people who aren't horror nerds wouldn't take a chance on this because it's just one of those horror movies and it's just violent and stuff like that. And I think if you're a film nerd, you should definitely take a chance on this thing, because
I think the sound design is on par with like David Lynch sound design.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Yeah,
like I can't. Well, like those are like this and like Twin Peaks and like Blue Velvet are like the best use of sound design I've pretty much heard like ever, because like Tobe Hooper in this magical like movie I captured, it is just pitch perfect. The sound design, like, it does the heavy lifting, Because without it, if it was even slightly off, this would be a forgettable kind of meh movie that no one would care about.
I think it has a lot of other things going for it,
yeah.
too.
But I feel like the sound design really helps build the dread and, like, the bizarre, like, sense of, like, this isn't human, like, this shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Anxiety inducing. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
I mean, I really enjoyed talking about it. It's a good movie, even though in a way for me it's a bad movie too. Because if somebody were to say like, "Oh, it's a violent horror movie," yeah, it is a violent horror movie, but it's also it's a good movie, like in terms of cinematography and sound, and yeah, it's just very well done.
Like a good barbecue.
Yeah, I wouldn't eat any of that stuff, and not because I know it's human flesh now. It's because it doesn't look like meat that you should be eating. It's like knobs.
It looks like one scene looks like a mushroom. Like, I don't know, it doesn't look appealing, that meat.
Fleshy bulbs. Like, what kind of meat is this? How did you get it into this shape? I don't know. Eat it. Like, no. What about you? Anything else you want to say?
There's a lot of imagery of meat, bone, and machinery, which is I like that touch where it's like, oh yeah, this was like the art. Like, we didn't touch on the art direction. The art direction is very thought out, not thought out. Well, it's thought out because it's Texas, but like you see a lot of like bone structures and like there's like a skeleton sofa and like you get there's I think a face lamp of like someone's face. Yeah. And it's just like all this really brilliant art design and imagery of us like rough, rusted old machinery and bones and meat, which just adds to like the whole gross atmosphere of everything.
Yeah, the house is filthy, but the kitchen's very nice. Somebody spent a lot of time cleaning up that kitchen. Yeah, and Leatherface has put on some makeup too. Oh, he just put on a different face, one that already had makeup on it. Yeah. And also, like, the whole, when there's close-ups on Leatherface or Grandpa, it's very creepy because you can clearly see it's a mask. Yeah. And, like, it's this unsettling of, like, what's underneath what's underneath that? Because, like, you see their eyelids move underneath the mask. And it's just, like, skin crawling. Just seeing that small detail. So gross to see the other, like, skin moving under the skin. And then, and Leatherface has one set of eyelashes on his normal mask, which is, I hate that detail. It's so gross. Maybe the other set of eyelashes wasn't very good. Yeah, you just clip away the extra parts. Sure, I guess. I was gonna say, we did Death Laid an Egg with you not that long ago, and that has the, like, chicken connection. Oh, but it also has the, like, slaughterhouse connection, too. Yeah, Spencer only wants to be on movies that have chicken. I never even thought of that connection. Well, at least no dogs died this time. Right. As far as I know. Did you guys... as many people as you want. Do you guys prefer this or Death Laid an Egg? No, I prefer this over Death Laid an Egg. But... Okay, that's the correct answer. Yeah, okay. And Sarah might be the opposite. Rewatchability, probably Death Laid an Egg, but I know that this is a much more significant movie in terms of art and history in film. Yeah. It was made for under $1 million, and it made like $30 million. Yeah, like Brian De Palma saw it on a Grindhouse and was like, "This is fucking great. This needs to be seen by everyone." Because like before that, Hooper was basically a nobody from Texas, and no one thought much of this. And Brian De Palma was the one who helped spread the word. That's cool. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna read outro stuff. You guys think of a lesson you learned from Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Did you? I don't want to know the lesson. Lesson is don't eat it unless you know what kind of meat it is. Sorry, I already took that one. Nobody else take that one. All right. Hey, listener, if you want to message us, you can message us on Facebook, facebook.com/PDSMiOS, or our email address, which is pleasedon'tpodcast@gmail.com. Also on Twitter @OuterSpacePod. If you like what you hear, we are part of an audio network called Ear Trumpet Audio at eartrumpetaudio.com. There's lots of other great shows available on there. Like the podcast to Grayskull, I keep bringing them up because they keep putting out so much fun episodes. You know, they're going episode by episode through the He-Man, original He-Man series from the 80s. And they pick apart, you know, like the animators that worked on the different things, talk about the history. Like, it's really good. Like, they're very thorough when they talk about the episodes. And I highly recommend that. That's on iTunes, wherever you get your regular podcasts. And I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, yeah, iTunes. Hey, have you gone to iTunes and given us a star rating? It takes 2 seconds. Seriously, it's really easy to do. And that will make me happy. It'll make Sarah happy. Sarah's not very happy right now. You know why? Because you didn't rate us on iTunes. Just take a second to do that, please, listener. Thank you in advance. If you want to hear more of Spencer and me talking about Japanese movies... Because, wait, we haven't done that on here. What am I talking about? Wait, oh, no, Face of Another. We did that. We have a podcast called High and Low, a Kurosawa podcast. What's that all about, Spencer?
Oh, we take a Kurosawa movie, and we pair it with another Japanese movie from the same year, and we talk about them and do special episodes in between, like the one on Joe Shishido, who has these puffy chipmunk cheeks and was in a bunch of Yakuza movies. Mm-hmm. You know, we have one coming up with Tony Stella, the poster artist on Sword of Doom.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun guests on that one. You know, with Gina Radcliffe from the Kill by Kill podcast.
Yeah, Gina met Edwin Neal, who played Hitchhiker, at some thing years ago.
At her bar mitzvah. Wait, bat mitzvah? What do ladies have?
Bat mitzvah.
There we go.
She's not Jewish.
Oh.
No, but like she met Edwin Neal and they talked about symbolism and poster art.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know if he's still alive or not, but you know, a former guest.
He is. Yeah. Yeah, lots of good stuff to listen to. If you're into horror, listen to the episode on House, which I was not on, but still a lot of fun. Yeah. Houseu. So a lesson, Sarah. What did you learn from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, not to be mixed up with just Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The
lesson for me is there's so many different things. There's so many different spots where they could have done something to resolve some of these issues. I guess my lesson is listen to your gut and your the vibes that you're getting. Don't just walk into some place and think, wow, this looks really creepy. Because if it might actually be like really, really bad and really creepy. So just, you know, be aware of your surroundings. That's my lesson.
Mine is if you're gonna visit Texas, I'd stick with the city. If you're not local, don't go to a small town where you can buy questionable barbecue. You know, just stick to Dallas, stick to San Antonio, stick to Abilene. You know, stick to the places where there's at least military or a bunch of concrete around to help defend you from the leather faces of the world.
Stick to places where you can see telephone poles.
Go to Austin.
Yeah. It's a sign of civilization.
Oh yeah, there were no telephones in the movie.
Nope. Oh yeah, like she ran to the gas station. He's like, "We don't have a phone here. Don't worry, I'll get my truck."
Yeah,
go over to the place.
They had like the guy drive a couple towns over or something to get a phone.
And then he smacks her unconscious with a broom, which I think was supposed to be funny. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the parts that seemed purposely funny to me, now that I think back about it, is the whole hitchhiker in the van scene, because they've just got that goofy, like, kind of country western song going on in the background, and everybody's got that dumbfound face there, you know.
Yeah. Hitchhiker looks like James Franco a little bit here. Not a lot, but a little bit.
No, I can't follow you either. Nope.
Okay.
My lesson is that, let's see, I got to think about this. Boy, oh boy. My lesson is that you should watch this movie.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to learn about film craft and good filmmaking in all of its forms, from like we've talked about the entire thing, cinematography, sound design, directing, acting. Like, I don't think there's a bad bit in the bunch. You know,
Art direction and music choices and all these things come together in this low budget film. This should be inspirational to anybody who wants to be a filmmaker, even if you don't want to make horror movies. Like, I feel like you could just take a lot of ideas just from what you see in this and make something of it.
What's a lesson from the story you experience in this movie?
The lesson that I learned from the story in this movie is that you shouldn't eat random pieces of meat unless you know exactly what kind of meat they are.
Right. Okay.
That's as good a lesson as you're going to get, because listen, as we talked about, he's just eating these round little nugget things, you know. He's got that dumb look on it. Once again, he's got a dumb look on his face while he's chewing these things. Like, come on, man.
Never hurts to have just a little pocket knife on you. You know, just a little one.
That pocket knife just caused so much trouble in this movie.
Yeah. Fun fact, the original title was Head Cheese.
Yes, yeah. And he said, come back to our house. You like head cheese? My brother makes the best head cheese.
That's disgusting.
It apparently tastes good, from what I understand.
I just think it's a disgusting use of words when you know that he's wearing skin of other human beings on his head. I mean, I can't help but think about that.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week, folks. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
eartrumpetaudio.com.
Ideas and entertainment.
Loud and clear.